Cinderella. Invitation, Chapter 1. Invitation to the ball. Cinderella, shouted her stepmother, looking up from a letter. Come and clean my bedroom at once. Yes, stepmother, Cinderella called from the kitchen when she was making lunch. Her stepsisters had ordered their usual revolting dishes. Well, I've made a sausage trifle, Cinderella thought to herself. The cabbage and custard pie would just have to wait. She picked up her broom and made her way to the stairs, but her stepsisters were blocking the way. What's little Cinder's doing today then? Teased Griselda. She's sweeping away cobwebs like a servant, sneered Grimella. Get on with it then, servant girl, said Griselda. Just then, Cinderella's stepmother appeared. Griselda, Grimella, she cried, I have the most exciting news. The prince is giving a Christmas ball and you're invited. We're dressing you the finest clothes, only the best for my beautiful darlings. Isn't that right, dear? She said to Cinderella's father. Cinderella gripped her broom hard. May I go to the ball as well? She said in a scared whisper. You go to the ball? Said her stepmother. You must be joking. You belong in the kitchen. Cinderella turned to her father, but he coughed and looked away. He's too scared of stepmother to help me, thought Cinderella. If only I could go to the ball. Chapter 2. A surprise visit. We'll be the most beautiful girls there, chorused the stepsisters. I'm sure the prince will want to marry one of you, said their mother proudly. Now, Cinderella, she went on, as a special treat and since it was nearly Christmas. Yes, Cinderella cried. You may help Griselda and Grimella choose the dresses. All that need boot makers, dressmakers, wig makers, and hairdressers streamed through the door. Cinderella tried to make her stepsisters look as pretty as possible. It wasn't easy. Grimella wanted to wear a hat decorated with stuffed birds. Griselda chose a lime green dress with yellow spots. What about feathers rather than stuffed birds? Grimella, Cinderella suggested politely. And Griselda, I think the yellow dress suited you better. Shut up, Cinders! What would you know? Said Grimella. But you might be right. We must look grander than everyone else. Sew in lots of rubies and ribbons. Cinderella worked all day and all night, putting the finest chores to the outfits. Hurry up, Cinderella! At last they were ready. Cinderella's stepsisters gazed at themselves in the mirror. Don't we look gorgeous? They scoffed. We will be the finest ladies at the ball. Oh, my Tinkerbells, you look wonderful, the mother gasped. Let's go, the coach is here. Cinderella, put up the Christmas decorations while we are gone. The front door was open. There was a swish of skirts and a blast of cold air. Then Cinderella was left alone. As she struggled with the Christmas tree, tears blurred her eyes. Oh, she sobbed, getting tangled in tinsel. I wish I could go to the ball. A loud crash in the chimney made Cinderella look up. There, in the fireplace, covered in soot, was her godmother. Chapter 3. Fantastic Felicity. Godmother Felicity! Cried Cinderella. Whatever are you doing in our chimney? I missed the door, Felicity replied airily. But I haven't seen you since I was 10, said Cinderella. I've been with Sleeping Beauty, my other godchild, explained Felicity. But she wouldn't wake up, so it was rather dull. Have you been crying, Cinders? Asked Felicity, looking at her closely. Yes, I wanted to go to the ball, but I'm not allowed. Well, you can wipe those tears away, girlie. Fantastic Felicity is here to help. Now, go to the garden and fetch me a large pumpkin. Great, thought Cinderella. My stepsisters are at the ball, and I'm picking up pumpkins for my crazy godmother. Here you are, Cinderella, said a few minutes later. It's the biggest one. Jolly good, Felicity replied. This shouldn't take long. Now, what was the spell? Felicity, said Cinderella. Yes, dear, said Felicity. Why are you waving that stick around? This isn't a stick, Cinderella, her godmother replied. It's the wand. The time has come to you a great secret. Your godmother is a fairy. Really? What? She went on. Felicity flicked her wand at the pumpkin and cried out, Abracadabra! Cadabra carton? Cinderella waited. Nothing happened. I don't know much about fairies, Cinderella said, but shouldn't you be using the other end of your wand? Well spotted, Cinderella. Silly me, said Felicity. Sit on the brain. Let's try again. There was a wonderful tinkle of music and a shower of sparks. In the place of the pumpkin stood a beautiful golden coach. Cinderella gasped. You really can do magic! Yes, said Felicity, and this is just the beginning. Now, where's the mousetrap? Under the sink, said Cinderella. Felicity peered in. 6 mice, 1 fat rat, all alive. Excellent. Open the mousetrap door, Cinderella. Kazam! And as each of the mice came out, Felicity gave them a little tap with her wand. One by one, the mice were transformed into fine white horses. The rat became a rosy-cheeked coachman with very large whiskers. Now I need 6 lizards, said Felicity. I expect there would be some behind your watering can. There are, said Cinderella, handing them to her godmother. In a flash, the lizard became footmen. At your service, Cinderella. They were dressed in glistening green and looks like they've been footmen all their lives. There you are, Cinderella, said Felicity, sounding rather pleased with herself. can go to the ball. I'll be off now, but I can't go in these rags, Cinderella cried out. Felicity touched Cinderella with her wand. A moment later, her rags turned into a dazzling dress of gold and silver. On her feet was a perfect pair of little glass slippers. There's just one problem, said Felicity. You must leave before 12. On the last stroke of midnight, my magic began to fade. I promise, Cinderella replied, climbing onto the coach. And thank you so much, she called, as the horse swept her away. At the ball. Chapter 4. At the ball. When Cinderella entered the ballroom, everyone felt silent. Then slowly, a whisper went around the room. Who can she be? Who's that beautiful girl? The lady wondered. She must be a princess. A voice next to Cinderella almost made her jump. It was the prince. May I have this dance? He asked. Cinderella and the prince twirled across the floor. She's so graceful, said the other ladies. And look at her dress. Have you ever seen so delicate? Ignore her. The prince is only being polite, said Grimella. He'd much rather dance with me. Cinderella was enjoying herself so much, she forgot to watch the time. As the prince whirled her around the room, she caught sight of the clock. The time! Oh no, she said. It's almost midnight. I must go. Cinderella pulled away from the prince and ran across the dance floor. The prince raced after her. Come back, he called. I don't even know your name. But Cinderella had disappeared into the darkness. Have you ever seen a girl in a gold and silver dress? The prince asked in the palace guard. No, said the guard. A girl ran past a moment ago, but she was dressed in rags. I've lost her. The prince turned back with the palace with a sigh. Then something on the steps caught his eye. Her glass slipper, he cried. Cinderella ran home as fast as she could. She arrived just before her stepsisters. How was the ball? Cinderella asked. It was very grand, said Rosetta. Far too grand for the likes of you. I'm sure the prince was in love with me. Cinderella smiled, but she said nothing. Next morning, the entire street was woken by the shout of a town crier, who was followed by a messenger. By the order of His Royal Highness, Prince, every girl in the kingdom must try this glass slipper. The prince will marry its true owner. Cinderella's stepmother flung open the front door and grabbed the messenger. One of my girls will fit the shoes, she said proudly. Then I'll be queen. Griselda couldn't even fit her big toe in the shoe. She pushed until her foot was bright red. You stupid girl. Give it to me, shouted Grimella and snatched the glass slipper from his sister. Grimella rammed half of her foot in the shoe, but then it got stuck. Squeeze, Grimella, shrieked her mother. You're not trying hard enough. I'm trying as hard as I can, Mama, said Grimella with a grunt. Ow! You useless child, cried her mother. She wrenched the slipper off Grimella's foot and flung it at the messenger. Off you go, then, she snapped. The messenger cleared his throat. Excuse me, ma'am, he said, but strict orders that are that every young lady is to try on the shoe. He looked directly at Cinderella. What about this girl? What? Said Grimella. She's just a servant. You can't bother with her. Cinderella's father coughed. Actually, he began. Shut up, you stupid man! Interrupted the stepmother. Cinderella has as much right to try on the slipper as anyone who went on bravely. Oh, Papa, said Cinderella. She walked over to the messenger and slid on the shoe. It was a perfect fit. No, said Griselda and Grimella. She can't be a princess, shouted their mother. I won't allow it. This is all your fault. Get out, she screamed at the messenger. I want you to pretend this never happened. With one swift moment, the messenger swam off his hat and cloak. Everyone in the room gasped. It was the prince. You! He strode over to Cinderella. I would have searched my kingdom for you, he said. Will you marry me? Cinderella smiled. Oh, yes, she replied. At that moment, there was a puff of smoke, and Felicity flew into the room. She held her wand above her head, and the starry mist swirled round them all. Time for a little more magic, she declared. Felicity flicked her wand and gave Cinderella a dress even more beautiful than the one she had worn to the ball. Thank you, my princess, said the prince and swept Cinderella off to his palace. Cinderella and the prince were married the next day and lived happily ever after. Griselda and Grimella were not so happy. We want to marry the prince. The mother never stopped scolding them. It's all your fault for having such big feet, she told them.